In USA in Toronto. Yo 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 yo. Good morning, Angela Yee.
Good morning, DJ MV.
Charlemagne the God. Peace to the planet. It's Tuesday. Yes, it's Blackout Tuesday.
Blackout Tuesday. Explain to the people what that means. What is Blackout Tuesday?
I thought at first it was the Blackout Tuesday was when the industry got quiet, meaning, you know, the record industry, the music industry got quiet, stayed off Instagram, stayed off social media, no promoting, just doing no work, just supporting.
Well, that's part of it.
That's part of it. But we're media, explain what's going on, so it's a little different. So a lot of the other media, as in your other social media that gives people the information, they're still on right now to continue to give people information. That's why we're still on.
Right. So we're going to be able to give you guys resources and a call to action and interviews and things like that that will help you out as far as if you want to take action and figure out what are some steps that you can take to actually help protest police violence against the Black community. Everybody can take this moment, this day to disconnect also. And, you know, let's just make sure that we move forward with positive, actionable steps.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I really can't tell if life is Infinity War or Endgame right now. I don't know exactly which Avengers movie we're in. It's one of the two though. I don't know if this is after the snap and we trying to bring everybody back, everybody's back and we trying to win the war. I'm not sure yet.
Well, New York was one of those places yesterday that they had a curfew, 11 p.m. curfew, trying to get people off the streets.
Today the curfew's 8 p.m.
Yeah, today is 8. That didn't seem like it worked last night. I was watching the news and it seemed like more people were out last night after 11 p.m. They're trying to get people off the street, trying to get people to stop rioting and looting. I don't know if that worked. I woke up this morning and
they're trying to get everybody to quarantine again. They're trying to get everybody to quarantine again? That's basically what you're saying? Trying to get everybody to go back and quarantine.
Between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. and now today, like he said, it's going to be 8 p.m. to 5 a.m.
I was walking around Brooklyn. I was walking around Brooklyn yesterday, not after 11 p.m. though. I'll tell you that much. So very active out in Brooklyn. A lot of police cars out here. They were actually in Bed-Stuy yesterday. That's where I live.
What happened to coronavirus? It's just so weird how the media works. Like I'm talking about every day they were showing us how many cases was going on in the world, how many cases was in America, how many people were dying around the world, how many people were dying around America, and it's just like disappeared.
Right.
And it's so weird because they kept telling us to social distance and stay out of large crowds, and then we went right into, you know, the protesting of police killings, right, of Black people, and it's nothing but large crowds, but you hear very minimum conversation about coronavirus.
Yeah.
Very strange. Media is something.
Well, they
else.
said the cases did spike in Washington, D.C. I was reading something the other day. They said in Italy that coronavirus has weakened quite a bit since it first started. You know, Italy had the third most cases.
Right. We got a lot to talk about. We got front page news next. I'm sure you're going to be filling people in on what's going on with these looting riots, and hopefully we even closer to these other 3 officers being charged. So we'll talk about all that next. So don't move. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning. Let's get to some front page news. Where we starting, Yee?
Well, Donald Trump, he made sure that he made an appearance yesterday, and they were peaceful protesters just outside the White House gates. They were dispersed with tear gas, flash grenades, and rubber bullets so that Trump could go and visit a nearby church. Here is what Donald Trump had to say, where he talks about George Floyd, and he wants to assure that there will be justice.
My administration is fully committed that for George and his family, justice will be served. He will not have died in vain. But we cannot allow the righteous cries and peaceful protesters to be drowned out by an angry mob. The biggest victims of the rioting are peace-loving citizens in our poorest communities. And as their president, I will fight to keep them safe. I am your president of law and order and an ally of all peaceful protesters.
Now, according to reports, he was very upset about coverage that depicted him holed up in an underground bunker. They said he was very nervous because of protesters that were outside on Friday evening. He wasn't seen on Sunday. He spent most of Monday behind closed doors. So we wanted to make sure he got that photo op outside of the White House gates. And that was important.
That was
and
all
that's why
legal.
those peaceful protesters were violently moved.
Yeah, I peeped that whole play. That was all ego. He created that whole
Absolutely.
spectacle just because people said he was shook in the house on Friday.
That is
Saturday night,
absolutely
whatever night
right.
it was.
Mm-hmm.
He just wanted to show he was outside because
he
that's
wasn't
all.
scared. Yeah, he wasn't scared. That's what he was trying to show.
Now, he also did say that he does want to make sure that the military is involved as far as restoring peace and order. Here's what he said.
I am mobilizing all available federal resources, civilian and military, to stop the rioting and looting, to end the destruction and arson, and to protect the rights of law-abiding Americans, including your Second Amendment rights. Today, I have strongly recommended to every governor to deploy the National Guard in sufficient numbers that we dominate the streets. Mayors and governors must establish an overwhelming law enforcement presence until the violence has been quelled. If a city or state refuses to take the actions that are necessary, then I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them.
Now that is martial law, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, temporary military rule of a domestic territory. That is absolutely martial law if that happens. Welcome to a fascist regime. And I remember people were saying a year ago that it was too soon to call Donald Trump a fascist. I didn't think so.
Well, Joe Biden yesterday was meeting with community leaders in Delaware, and he actually met with more than a dozen black leaders in a church in Wilmington, and he said he's soon going to put out an economic plan to deal with the disproportionate toll on the black and Latino communities from coronavirus, amongst other things. Here is Joe Biden.
I want to make something clear. I don't expect anything from the black community. I've never taken it for granted. Never one single moment. My entire career, if I ever said a lot of 50 years so, I expect you not to show up. I've never, ever done that. It has to be earned.
Listen, Joe Biden does not have this in the bag. Joe Biden has to go out there and beat Donald Trump. I know that they're sitting around hoping that Donald Trump loses, but this really looks like Hillary Clinton all over again. Hillary Clinton had all of these big double-digit leads and all of these different polls leading up to the election, even on election day. And then on election day, she got washed. Why? Because the Electoral College leans heavy Republican. Why? Because there's Russian interference. Why? Because there's voter suppression. Why? Because there's voter depression. Who knows why Donald Trump won in 2016, but Joe Biden is looking the same way, unless he really, really leans into blackness. So yes, you do need an economic justice plan for black folks. And yes, you do need to put a black woman running mate on your ticket. And yes, you've already committed to putting a black woman on the Supreme Court. And Joe Biden needs to do all of those things in order to secure this deal. Because guess what? There's no good going to come to America until they do right by black people. Period.
Okay, and we need to make sure that we vote. So don't forget that primaries are this week for certain states.
All right. Well, that is front page news. Get it off your chest. 800-585-1051. If you need to vent, hit us up right now. Phone lines are wide open. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Whether you're mad or blessed, we want to hear from you on The Breakfast Club.
Hello, who's this?
This is Michelle. I'm calling from Georgia.
Hey, Michelle, get it off your
Peace,
chest.
Michelle.
Hello. This morning, y'all, I am upset. I want to get it off my chest. I'm just upset that America keeps trying to tell people how to protest. And quite frankly, I have a lot of respect for Martin Luther King and his children, but I'm tired of hearing from them. Where Malcolm X children at? Where Nat Turner children at? Because I have a 12-year-old son, and when he watched that video, I saw it in my son's eyes. He felt like that was his daddy down there with his, with the police knee on his neck. So those are the people that are rioting. It's not us. It's not us 80s babies. It's not us 70s babies. It's these children that are actually able to see now what's being done. See, we heard about it. Our parents told us about it.
Right.
We saw it on video,
Michelle.
but now it's going live.
We've seen it with Rodney
Michelle,
King. We have seen it before.
I do want to say one thing though, Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all got to stop disrespecting Martin Luther King Jr. Martin Luther King Jr. was one of the most radical gangster protesters ever. No disrespect to Malcolm X because I love Malcolm X, but have you ever seen Malcolm X on the front lines like Martin Luther King Jr. was, getting sprayed with hoses, sick with dogs sicked on him, billy clubs getting beat upside his head? And let's not act like everybody that with Martin Luther King Jr. was about peace. Stokely Carmichael then was about that action. We gotta really stop disrespecting Martin Luther King Jr. like Martin Luther King Jr. wasn't out there on the front lines of all the smoke. We gotta stop that.
Yeah, well, the thing is that it's a peaceful way to protest and it's a violent way to do it. And at this point, we just can't tell people which way to protest. They're mad as hell. So when we figure out how to take care of that, then we can, organize. But until then, we can't come together. We are on two different levels. We have some people want to do it peacefully. We have some people want to do it violently. So where are we going to meet in the middle?
Well, here's the thing: protests aren't supposed to make people feel comfortable. So nobody can tell you how to protest because it's all about disruption. But there was no peaceful protest even with MLK because they used to get their ass kicked.
Exactly. That's true. That's true. But I'm just saying that at this point, we have to find a way. So then tell the people to stop looting. Tell the people to stop being violent. They're not going to do it. They're tired of hearing the same thing, the same rhetoric every time it happens. So
I get it.
But I love you guys a lot.
All right. Well, thank you for checking in,
Love you
Mama.
too.
Get it off your chest. 800-585-1051. If you need to vent, hit us up right now. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
The Breakfast Club. The Breakfast Club.
Hello, who's this?
What up, man? It's Knowledge, man. How y'all doing?
What's up, Knowledge? Get it off your chest, bro.
Man, hey, man, I feel the passion of the looting, but since the 80s, I done seen riots, but I haven't seen a plan after. You know what I'm saying? I'm asking for three things after this, man. I'm asking for health care insurance for our elders and beyond. I'm asking for farmland. They owe us that so we can grow whatever without all these laws of marijuana. I'm also asking for drug rehabs and mental health centers on every corner in the hood, man. That's what we really need and more, but that'll be a start.
That's under the health care.
After this, hopefully, yeah, because for example, right now, the higher class and the people that's getting in the higher class, they just sitting back and say, oh, that property gonna drop. I'm just gonna come in and just do what I do. We need to have a plan, man. And some of these young kids out here that I'm seeing, honestly, they not even all black. They just taking from the van store. They taking from this store. Man, they taking for their own personal gain, and we need to have a plan. We need the AR, Angela Rise, and the Charlemagne to be like, all right, what's next? What's next? Because you see our passion. You know what I'm saying? Where's all right, we got the right to bear arms. All right, let's get our own militia. All right, cool. You got the military. All right, we got ours, so we still gonna right to bear arms, and we gonna peacefully protest. We gonna get rubber bullets too. But at the end of the day, we need insurance, man. We need farmland, man. Right now it's a shortage. Ain't you tired of getting your fruit from Mexico? You tired of getting your pork and your beef from China and Japan? You know what I'm saying?
You shouldn't be eating pork anyway.
Huh? Oh yeah. I'm from Pine Bluff, Arkansas, man. I like bacon. About.
I'm from South Carolina. I'm from Most Corner, South Carolina, but I don't eat no pork. But listen, I can honestly tell you, my brother, that there are several plans. Black people are more organized and strategized than I've ever seen in my lifetime, from everything from economics to politics. Trust me, there is a lot of things moving that you may not see. Everything ain't on social media, King.
Thank you, brother. Have a good one, man.
I'm excited to keep seeing that moving. I'm glad you're pushing that agenda, too.
Hello, who's this?
This Claudia.
Hey, Claudia, get it off your chest.
Claudia?
This is what I want to say. Now cops are kneeling with everybody and politicians are kneeling with them. But what are we achieving by that? We're easily pacified. We're so gullible. They do all these little things, and we get nothing in the end. This thing happened over and over. In another 2 years from this, it happens again. In another year from this, it happens again. We have a nice, suave black president in power, and nothing happened. He didn't even make no laws to protect us from these things. He stayed there for 8 years and gone. We're talking about Biden, who is senile. He's not going to do anything either. He's going to come in, do nothing. So my thing is this. They need to have these politicians make some laws, and there are a lot of black politicians in there that is doing nothing at all. A lot of big, high-powered black people who is so scared they hide behind the white people and they do nothing. And a lot of these protesters, they don't even know what they're protesting for anymore. You know, the only person I see could do something is Cortez. She sound like she talk a good game and
AOC?
she will do something. Yes.
AOC about that action.
Well,
I
yeah,
won't
and
say,
there
you know
definitely
what I'm
does
saying?
need to be some policies that are enacted now. And that's one thing that has to be discussed and that has to be brought to the attention of people, and the bills that have to be signed. So, yes, I agree. There has to be action.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much,
this
Mama, for
is
checking in, too.
This just a new version of an old problem. And as long as there's a system of white supremacy, there's going to always be these problems. It don't matter who's in the White House if that person is not willing to dismantle the mechanism of white supremacy. If that person is not willing to change legislation that disproportionately impacts black folks in a negative way, it don't matter.
Get it off your chest. 800-585-1051. If you need to vent, you can hit us up. Now, we got rumors on the way, Yee?
Yes, we are going to be giving you some more information that you'll be needing this morning. YG is putting out a new song as the protests are coming around, and Ellen DeGeneres has demanded justice. She's speaking out as well. We'll tell you what she had to say.
All right, we'll get into that next. Keep it locked. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning. Club, good morning. Let's get to the rumors. Let's talk YG.
Listen up. It's just in.
All the gossip. The Rumor Report. Gossip. With Angela Yee.
It's the Rumor Report.
The Breakfast Club.
Well, YG has announced on his social media that he has a new song coming this week, FTP. You know what that stands for, F the Police. Mm-hmm. And so I guess we'll be hearing that at some point. He didn't give us an exact date. Now, another person who put out some music, LL Cool J, he put out a freestyle that was for Black Lives Matter. And here's what he said.
America's a graveyard full of black men's bones. And I ain't got to tell you that Breonna Taylor got slayed in her own home. Had they lived, Sean could have rocked bells. Eric could have garnered attention. Beyond the t-shirts and obituary mentions. Oscar could have been counting grants. Tamir could have went to Rice. They owed them cops nothing, but all of them paid the price. So yeah, you right. We should protect our Second Amendment rights. Cause in a second, a dirty cop can kick the door in at night. A tooth for a tooth and a life for a life. We refuse to live in hell while you living in paradise. Being black in America's like rolling a pair of dice. But the stakes are way higher, you gambling with my life. Black Lives Matter.
Drop on the clues bombs for LL Cool J. I feel like LL Cool J was beating me up through the phone. I feel like, he was just giving me body shots that whole freestyle. Jesus. And I like how he said Black Lives Matter at the end.
He was expressing
me of
himself.
Fish fried batter.
Oh, stop.
Remember when he did the freestyle and he said, fish fried batter.
It's been a long time, but this don't matter. About to make this pop off like fish fried batter.
Black Lives Matter. Drop on the clues bombs for LL.
Shout out to LL. He was expressing himself, man. I like the best way he does, rapping.
Yeah, I didn't like.
Right.
I want to hear that over a beat though. I want to hear LL actually put that to song.
I think he probably just wanted everybody to really hear the lyrics clearly.
We felt him. Every word.
All right. And Ellen DeGeneres is demanding justice for George Floyd. Now, if you guys remember, people were wondering where she was. Don Lemon called her out as a person who he felt needed to speak up as one of the celebrities.
Shut up, Don.
All right. Well, she did speak out. She shared a video to social media yesterday, and here's what she had to say about racism and police brutality and George Floyd's death.
I am so sad, and I am so angry, and I have always stood for equality. I have always wanted to be the voice for people who felt like they didn't have a voice, because I know what that feels like. And maybe you don't agree with how it's coming out, but you have to understand it, and then we can heal it. I'm just so sorry that it's come to this. This has gone on way, 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 way too long. So we've got to see fairness, and we've got to see justice for all, because right now this is not a fair world.
Ellen is absolutely right. Like I keep telling people, when you point a finger at the protesters, point all your remaining fingers back at yourself. This is America's fault. This is America's karma. And everybody cannot act clueless and act like they don't know why all of this, rampage and mayhem is going on. You can't brutalize and kill people over and over, deny them justice and equality, and not expect backlash. Like, what part of no justice, no peace don't you understand? Right. I just want to know, what are people like Ellen willing to do? Because, none of this will stop until, they're all willing to dismantle that system of white supremacy that they benefit from. It means that they're going to have to give up a little bit of power. Are they willing to give up a little bit of power?
All right. Well, Saweetie is donating all the proceeds from her Pretty Little Thing collection to Black Lives Matter. She partnered with Pretty Little Thing on a second clothing collaboration, and 100% of the proceeds are going to Black Lives Matter. So it's all kinds of 90s throwbacks, including bedazzled crop tops. They have baggy jeans. And so it's a 30-piece line, and it varies in price from $12 to $58. And a lot of the pieces come with matching face masks as well. So all of that is going to go towards Black Lives Matter.
Right.
I don't like how you say Black Lives Matter, Yee. After hearing LL Cool J say it with so much conviction, I think that we all need to step up the way we say Black Lives Matter. I'm serious. He says it with a lot of emphasis, and Black Lives Matter. Play LL's part, see if I match up to that energy.
Black Lives Matter.
That's what. Whenever we say Black Lives Matter from now on, I want to hear LL say it.
Leave LL alone, man.
I'm not bothering LL. I'm serious. I want us to say Black Lives Matter with more energy and more emphasis. Okay.
Remember, LL wanted to fight you in the ring.
LL definitely wanted to fight me in the ring. He saw me spar Sean. He saw me spar Sean Porter. I like LL Cool J though. LL Cool J is an icon.
He is.
But Black Lives Matter. I want that type of energy and emphasis whenever y'all say Black Lives Matter.
You gotta leave LL alone, man. Go ahead, Yee.
Why y'all think I'm playing? I'm not playing.
And that's your rumor report.
Now y'all gonna have LL mad at me, and I'm being dead ass serious. Just play the drop from now on. Whenever
LL
we
should be
say
mad.
Black Lives Matter,
You wanted
I want
to play
LL to say it.
Black Lives Matter.
You just wanted to play the fish batter. What part of serious is that?
I didn't say nothing about fish fry batter.
Yes, you did.
I said that it had the same cadence as fish fry batter.
See?
But I still like Black Lives Matter. I love it.
Black Lives Matter.
I love it.
What?
I love it, LL. That's not a diss. I'm not trying to be funny. I love it.
All right. Well, we got front page news when we come back. Don't move. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
The Breakfast Club. Your mornings on
Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. Where we starting, Yee?
Well, don't forget that primary elections are happening this week today. If you're in D.C., Indiana, Iowa, Maryland, Montana, New Mexico, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, South Dakota. And June 9th, Georgia, Nevada, North Dakota, South Carolina, and West Virginia. So make sure you guys are all registered to vote, right? All right. Let's get that.
Because the Democratic nominee isn't secured yet, right? So you still got to go out there and vote for Joe Biden, right?
Make sure you register to vote, guys. And you are voting and you are registered. All right. Now, an independent autopsy that was ordered by George Floyd's family has found that his death was a homicide caused by asphyxia due to neck and back compression that led to a lack of blood flow to the brain. That's early findings from the examination that was released yesterday. So just let's not have any false information out there because, as you know, the family has done an independent autopsy. They were trying to talk about underlying conditions and intoxication leading to his death. No, the reason why was because of what that officer did to him, Shabin, by pinning his knee to his neck.
Nobody thought otherwise except for the white devils, the white supremacists trying to make excuses for the police. We all got eyes. We saw the video.
Right, and George Floyd's funeral services are scheduled for June 9th in Houston. There will also be a memorial service planned in Minneapolis where George Floyd was murdered. So June 9th is the date for that funeral in Houston, and a memorial service will be held this Thursday from 1 to 3 p.m.
Right.
All right. Now, George Floyd's brother also went to visit the site of his death, and Terrence Floyd was overcome with emotions when he went and visited that memorial yesterday. His knees actually buckled when he saw a massive painting on the wall in Minneapolis of his brother. And after sitting on the spot where he died, he did speak, and he was pleading with protesters to direct their anger to bring change and not to bring destruction.
If I'm not over here wilding out, if I'm not over here messing up my community, then what are y'all doing? Y'all doing nothing, because that's not going to bring my brother back at all. In every case of police brutality, the same thing has been happening. Y'all protest, y'all destroy stuff, and they don't move. You know why they don't move? Because it's not their stuff, it's our stuff. So they want us to destroy our stuff. So let's do this another way. Let's stop thinking that our voice don't matter. And vote. Not just vote for the president, vote for the preliminaries, vote for everybody.
So he said he wants to
listen,
see
man,
them all get punished to the full extent for what they did.
We can't just vote though. You got to demand things of your elected officials, man, because it doesn't matter who's in the White House or who's in these positions of power if they're not willing to dismantle the mechanism of white supremacy. If that person's not willing to change legislation that hurts black people in regards to, police brutality or police reform. Like if they're not willing to change those things, it don't matter. So it's not just about voting. It's about, keeping our foot on their necks to make them change these laws. So you got to keep the heat up in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, and it's important to know who is actually running, who you want to be the elected officials, and to vote for those people. Make sure you know them. Attend town hall meetings. Make your voice be heard. And those things are important as well.
Yeah, because voting only changes things when the people we vote in want to change them. Like we keep acting like this isn't by design. The whole function of systemic racism is to marginalize black people. That's why we have to demand that they change things. So, that heat got to come from somewhere. Protest, just holding different politicians accountable by not voting for them. Not saying don't vote, but, just letting them know, like, if you don't do what we want you to do, we're not going to vote for you.
Right.
That goes for,
and, you can always go on whoever your official's website is, and you can set up meetings. You can go to their office. You can ask them to come speak at events that you have. All of those things, that's their responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
And Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison is taking over the prosecution, as you know, in George Floyd's death. And he says they are taking another look at the actions of the other police officers present. He said, I can assure you we are taking a fresh look. We plan to hold everyone accountable who is legally culpable. So he said that he has spent the last 24 hours reviewing evidence, and he cannot right now ethically comment as a prosecutor, but that's what he has said thus far.
All right. Well, that is your front page news. Now, when we come back, over the weekend,
what are we doing?
Over the weekend, we got a phone call, and they said that Rush Limbaugh wanted to have a conversation with us.
You got to give him a little bit more backstory than that. Very important to note that the Breakfast Club, we're part of iHeartMedia, iHeart Mafia. Rush Limbaugh is part of iHeartMedia.
Correct.
iHeart Mafia.
Yeah. So they called us and said, we want you guys to have a conversation with Rush Limbaugh. So one side talking to the other side about possibly how we can, I guess what's the words I'm looking for? Explain. I don't want to say explain to the other side, but
here's the thing. Rush is probably the biggest voice in radio in regard to conservative politics. He felt
Correct.
like he felt like the death of George Floyd was wrong and police brutality needs to stop. And, I think everybody in this room, we're all for white people using their voice, using their privilege to combat prejudice. And in order to dismantle the white supremacy, that I was just talking about, we got to push the people who benefit from it, whose ancestors created it, to help dismantle it. So he wanted to have a conversation about, why George Floyd's death was wrong and how the police need to be held accountable. I think that was a step in the right direction. But
something that we all agree with.
But other than that, that call was
wasn't
very
much.
nerve-wracking.
Wasn't much more left to agree on after that.
Other than that, personally, I feel like it was a total waste of time. But hey, y'all might think otherwise.
Yeah, he had to. We had to ask him about other things that he said in the past, and it just wasn't like kumbaya. Nah, it doesn't work like that. You can't, in my opinion, issue on everything that we've ever, been about, and then come back and talk about kumbaya. Let's talk about George Floyd. Now you got to answer a lot of the other things that we have to have the conversation.
Let's not
about.
give too much away.
Okay.
Envy. We're gonna.
And
play
he
the
did play this on. He did play this on his show as well, on his platform yesterday.
Yeah, when he explained it,
on his show.
He called you Julie. When he explained it, he called you Julie. What do you call it?
Julie Lee. Julie Lee. And Dr. Envy.
I was Dr. Envy.
So I'm gonna tell you something.
Dr. Envy's nice. Who is Julie Lee?
I think
Rush has I think he has 25, 30 million listeners a week, maybe more. I actually heard it could be up to 50.
I say 50 million a week, they say.
If those people who never heard of the Breakfast Club before think that DJ Envy is a doctor, boy, they got a negative perception of us.
That's all right. I ain't mad at that. Dr. Envy. That's what you got to call me from now on. All right,
Dr.
Julie?
Dre. Shout out to Dr. Darius in Detroit.
Word. I'm a doctor. Julie, you good over there?
Why'd you shout out Dr. Dre?
I want to know why he ain't call you nothing. He probably called you something under his tongue. But anyway, we'll get back to it next. And Charlamagne, His name is Rush, not Russ. You called him Russ a couple of times.
Yeah,
His
you
name
called
is
him Russ throughout the whole interview.
Throughout the whole interview, show me that.
I can't help what God does to my mouth sometimes.
Whoa.
That's right. I bet you none of y'all are pause God. Yeah, you thought about it too. You thought about pausing God.
Work that mouth, you. All right, so let's be serious. Rush Limbaugh, when we come back, is The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Next guest on the line goes by the name of Rush Limbaugh.
Every Democrat candidate for president this year has made it their business to appear on The Breakfast Club. And now it's my honor to appear on The Breakfast Club. Excuse me, even though I'm not a Democrat. Now, guys, can I tell you why I wanted to... The George Floyd story is being lost.
Right.
There are two things happening in America, and it sickens me what happened to him. Legitimate national outrage about a policeman's criminal brutality has been hijacked. And I don't want to forget about George Floyd. What happened to George Floyd sickened me, and I wanted to reach out and tell you all this. I want to make sure you have no doubt, and I'm not the only American who feels this way, the senselessness of it. You know, we're only given one life. We don't get a do-over. We only get one. We all take it for granted because it just happened. We're born. We don't even remember that. But George Floyd had his taken away from him. He didn't lose it. He had it taken away from him in a senseless, stupid way. And I think most Americans are just as angry and sad about this as I am. And I'm also angry at the cops that stood around there and didn't do anything to stop it. It was just... I can't tell you how frustrated it is, and I just wanted to share the emotion I have with you guys about this, and to try to convey to you that I actually think most Americans are just as sickened and outraged by it as I am.
Yeah, and you know what? One of the worst things is that I feel like we're so accustomed to being in these situations where we get frustrated, where nothing happens, and these police officers are back out doing the same thing over and over again. And that's part of the frustration, is this is not an isolated incident. This is something that's been happening in our community it hasn't stopped. We don't see when it will stop. And I think people are frustrated, and it's a combination of so many different things right now.
Well, that's, I think, absolutely right. If you look at the actual circumstance here, you had what happened to him. It's on video. You've got the cop standing there almost looking like he's bragging or having fun, exerting power. How stupid is the cop? Can the cop not be aware of what we in this country are going through precisely because of what he's doing at that moment? How can anybody be that insensitive or stupid? It's beyond me to understand.
It almost felt like that the more that people were telling him that he was killing him and that it was blood coming out of his nose and that he was lifeless, he really felt like, just looking at his face, I think that was probably the closest thing to a devil that I've ever seen in my life. It was his ego that just allowed him to keep applying pressure and taking that man's life.
I can't.
Let me ask you a question, Russ. This is Charlamagne talking. We've seen numerous police killings of unarmed black people in this country. Why is the George Floyd situation the one that's making you say enough is enough and this needs to stop? Why this situation in particular?
Because I'm fed up with it. I'm not tolerant of any of them. But I'm fed up with it, Charlamagne. None of this. See, to me, and I know that you're going to disagree with me on this. Mm-hmm. To me, this is not America. It's a sad.
Oh no, it's definitely America.
Well, see, but it's not what we can be. It's not what we have been. We're the greatest nation in history of the world, and we haven't achieved that on the basis
of
being.
Who though, Russ? I think it's easy for you to say because you're a white male, and that comes with a different level of privilege. And I do think America does work, but it works for the people that it was designed to work for. It doesn't work for everybody else the way it works for you.
Well, it can. That's the point of America. It can for anybody who wants to adapt to it, for anybody who wants to try to take advantage of the unique opportunities that exist in the United States. We're the only nation that's ever enshrined the concept of individual liberty and freedom in our founding documents. We're the only country that's ever created a document to govern ourselves by that limits government. Now, look, gang,
Well,
I
Rex, let me
can't
jump
say
in for
that
a
I
second,
faced
though.
this.
But George Floyd wasn't doing anything wrong. Breonna Taylor got killed in her house. She wasn't doing anything wrong. And so it's not that people haven't adapted to things. It's just that we get targeted and then there's no punishment when the police officers commit these crimes against us.
No.
And then when we talk about it,
I didn't mean to conflate that George Floyd could have stopped what was going to happen to him. Don't misunderstand.
Okay.
George Floyd is the essence of innocence. But what I'm saying is that America is a place with robust opportunity if you want to go out and look for it and find it. Now, the people ripping up the streets today and last night, the Antifa types, they don't care to find the op. They disagree with the whole construct of America.
Well, no, I got to push back on you with that, too. It's not just the Antifa types. You know what I'm saying? Like you see all these white folks out there protesting, looting, raising hell. You know what I'm saying? Let's not act like there isn't 40 million people who have filed for unemployment in America. Folks been sitting around the last 3 months waiting on stimulus checks. More than 44% of those people have been denied unemployment checks, are still waiting on them to come. People of all races are broke. They don't know where their next meal is coming from. Their savings are exhausted. If they had any, they don't know how they're going to pay bills. So, of course, they're going to go out there and loot. Of course, they're angry and frustrated.
Unnecessarily, it turns out. Unnecessarily. There's no reason to shut down the country. There was no reason to lock everybody. Of course, you put 40 million people out of work and tell them, you penalize them when they do try to open their businesses. You're going to create a powder keg. A powder keg has been created. But
that's right. That's why I can't allow you to say that it's just Antifa out there, because it is a lot of white people who are fed up
but the
with this
Antifa
country
people look. The Antifa people are the violent ones. The Antifa people are the ones that are trying to capitalize on it. Of course, there's some legitimate, heartfelt people out there peacefully protesting. But look, you guys, let me tell you, you are a testament to the opportunity available in America. Look at you. How did you do it? What did you have to overcome to become the Breakfast Club? And what did you have to overcome to become dominant in morning drive and American radio? Who held you back, or what were you able to overcome in order to do it? The opportunity is there, is the only thing I'm saying.
Right, but you talk about peacefully. You talk about peacefully protest, right? And you were very opinionated about Colin Kaepernick, and he was peacefully protesting, right? And now people are saying, no, they're not peacefully protesting. This is the same thing Colin Kaepernick was kneeling for, that the world was so upset about. And the world said he's taking it too far and he doesn't know what he's talking about. This is exactly the reason why he was kneeling and protesting. The fact that an unarmed African-American man was doing nothing. They still don't even know if he had a fake $10 or $20 bill or not. And that man kneeled on George Floyd for damn near 9 minutes and killed that man, murdered that man, and looked at us like, yeah, I'm doing it. And what?
You guys, I'm trying to tell you, I'm all with you. I'm 1,000% with you on this. This is why I wanted to talk to you, because I know that there are, we all have preconceptions that we live under and biases that we live under. And I wanted to reach out to you guys specifically. You were the ones that I was told to speak to, that this is intolerable.
I'm happy to have the conversation. I'm glad you're having it, because I think your audience needs to hear it. And, you said something a little while ago, and I want to just, talk about that. This is a country, America, that denies, black people justice and just plain decency. And then they act like we're just supposed to be happy to be here because it allows a few of us to make a few
When did I
dollars,
say
while the
that?
majority of us out here catch up. Well, you said, you guys made it. Y'all are successful. You know what I'm saying? Like, but the rest of us are catching hell out here. R.I.P. George Floyd, but we can't act like this is an isolated incident.
Charlemagne, you're adding things to my mouth that I didn't say. You're adding syllables I have not uttered. I was trying to be complimentary of you, and I'm trying to illustrate that you are an example to others that want to try. You can succeed. Let me ask a quick question. If the Minnesota Vikings had announced 2 nights ago that they were going to hire Colin Kaepernick, would the riots have stopped?
No. Nobody gives a shit about that. What are we talking about?
Well, you guys, what do you mean? You guys brought up Kaepernick.
Kaepernick. His name is Kaepernick. And the reason I brought him up is because you were so opinionated about him protesting.
And I'm just asking, if the Vikings had signed him, would the people of Minnesota, oh, good, okay, he's got a gig, we're not going to protest anymore?
Because that's not going to stop white supremacy. That's not going to stop racism. Okay, we got to R.I.P. to George Floyd, but that was not an isolated incident. This is a regular occurrence for black people in this country.
How do you stop?
The powers that be don't want to change the system.
How do
that's
you
a
stop?
Question for you.
I
want to know, guys, how are you going to use your privilege as a white male to combat this prejudice? You got a direct line.
I don't buy into. No, wait a minute. I don't buy into the notion of white privilege. See, I think that's a liberal.
You're being deluded.
That's a liberal political construct right along the lines of political correctness. It's designed to intimidate and get people to shut up and admit they're guilty of doing things they haven't done. I don't have any white privilege.
You know what white privilege is? White privilege is that what happened to George Floyd would not have happened to a white man. That's the epitome of white privilege right there.
If what happened to George Floyd had happened to a white man, we probably wouldn't even have heard about it.
Huh?
You definitely would have heard about it. You definitely would have been. You definitely would have heard about it. You definitely would have. I don't know if you realize how many black people get killed by unarmed black men get killed.
I don't think if George
jump in and say this, Rush, there's a lot of instances where this does happen and we don't hear about it. There's a lot of times that there's no video that exists, and then people police officers lie and they say this is what happened, just like we've seen it happen so many different times where fortunately there was video. There's a lot of cases that won't make it. That we never hear about, that don't go viral.
That you never hear about, that never make it to TV, that never make it to social media because there is no phones.
What I said, guys. Video? I said if George Floyd were white, we wouldn't have heard of this. And if the same thing had happened to him, we wouldn't have heard about it. There wouldn't be,
Would you be outraged, right?
You're right. He's right, Charlamagne.
Would you tell me?
You wouldn't hear about it. And you know why? Because that cop would have been arrested. He would have been fired. He would have been charged with murder a long time before all of this. Yeah. Immediately, before the video hit the social media, he would have been charged, fired, arrested, locked up and all that if George Floyd was white.
There's a Muslim, I think there's a Muslim officer in Minneapolis now doing 12 and a half years because he accidentally killed a white woman. And on duty. So I mean, I don't get it.
All right, we got more with Rush Limbaugh. When we come back, don't move. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning. The Breakfast Club. We're still kicking it with Rush Limbaugh. Charlamagne?
Well, let me ask you a question, Wes. Because I remember in 2014, you criticized President Obama, and you said he should do more to ease racial tensions in the wake of the grand jury decisions to not indict the white police officers in Ferguson. You said if he wants to, he can inspire, and I think it's called for in this situation. Shouldn't that same advice apply to President Trump right now?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it applies to all presidents. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. No question about it. That's one of their roles, is to calm circumstances in situations like this. But look, guys, can I ask you, you keep harping on white privilege and racism. Would you tell me how to end it? What can we do to end this so that you are not frustrated and angry and feeling like whatever you feel like? Because I hate it. You guys, we're all Americans here, and I don't like the fact that you're angry all the time. So what can we do to stop the racism?
Here's the thing, right? As long as there's a system of white supremacy, there will always be these type of situations. It doesn't matter who's in the White House if that person is not willing to dismantle the mechanism of white supremacy. If that person is not willing to change legislation that disproportionately impacts black folks, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've seen this a million times.
Okay, then tell me what happened. Riots. You had 4 years of Barack Obama. You had Americans, white Americans, voting for Obama because they wanted to say we're not racist. We're not a racist country. You had people electing the first African American president in our history. He served for 8 years. Why isn't there anything to show for it that makes you less angry than you were then?
Once again, it doesn't matter who's in the White House if that person is not willing to dismantle the mechanism of white supremacy.
Come on, guys. Elections don't matter now?
I think that when we got to stop acting like white supremacy isn't done by design. The whole function of systemic racism is to marginalize black people. And it's very hard to get any damn near 80-year-old white man to change a system that's been working for him and his family for years. I don't care if it's Biden or Trump. So once again, we need people that are willing to dismantle the mechanism of white supremacy.
Okay, so let me ask you guys, why do you still vote Democrat?
I vote for whoever I think is the best candidate.
Because Democrat Party has been promising to fix your grievances for 50 years, and you have the same grievances. You have the same complaints. They haven't done a damn thing for you. They haven't even punished the people that you think are responsible for the racism and bigotry being done to you. Why do you keep supporting them?
And you know, I don't disagree with you, and that's why I'm not letting nobody politicize black pain and tell us that this is one person's fault just because they are trying to win an election in November. This is America's fault. And the war on drugs, mass incarceration, segregation, slavery, all of those things are and have been the proverbial knee on the back of black folks' neck. And until somebody is willing to dismantle the mechanism of white supremacy, nothing is going to change.
Well, Rush, I also don't want to lose track of what we're talking about here, because I know we're trying to focus on George Floyd and what's happening with him and how can we take some actionable steps to move forward and what can be done, right? So on your end, what are some things that you feel like can be done?
I think that cop should be charged with first-degree murder, and I think that the guys standing around ought to be charged, the other cops that were standing around. I think it's time to end this. Look, we are all aware of police brutality. We're all aware of the actions that some rogue cops take, and it's way too many of them against African American men. And it's time to stop. And I'm not a policeman. I'm not an executive in a police department, but it seems to me that if those people end up being charged instead of shielded, when they commit murder, there shouldn't be any legalized murder, and that would be one way to at least get a start on making sure it doesn't happen. This George Floyd was, for everything I've been able to tell, was a good guy. He was a nice guy, had a family, did not even come close to deserving having his life taken from him like
Not
this.
at all. Not at all. Now, do you agree with the way that the media is portraying everything? You're in media, and you know, media is a white media, of course. Do you agree with how they're portraying everything that's going on right now?
God, I don't think we've gotten the truth out of most media in 3 or 4 years. I don't know. And I think that's another reason why people are mad. You guys, they know they've been lied to. They were lied about so many things for 2, 3, 4 years now. And so now they don't know what to believe coming out of the media. And I don't care what it is. Fox, CNN, New York Times, Washington Post. There doesn't seem to be anywhere in our culture that people have trust in an institution or series of institutions that provide a backstop and reliability when something like this happens. And I think that's creating or contributing to even more of the unrest that's happening out there.
Rush, how would you advise Donald Trump to handle this situation? Because I see that he's having some issues. He's calling people thugs. He's talking about sicking the dogs on people if they try to come into the White House. But then you see how he treats people who are protesting the stay-at-home order, and they have guns, and they're white people, and they're fine people. So I just want to know, what advice would you give to the president right now to say, this is what we need to do, and this is how you should handle it? Because I don't think that he's handling it properly with his verbiage.
I think what the president ought to do is use the God-given humility that he has, and don't doubt me that he does. He has a lot of humility.
There's nothing humble about the president.
No, there is. Even at every rally, you will see his
ego,
his appreciation for the people that show up. But it's simple matter of understanding he's president of everybody here, and trying to quell these moments of unrest is something that would be really, really to his advantage.
I think what you said about Obama in 2014 applies. When you said if he wants to, he can inspire, and I think it's called for in this situation. But I don't think he wants to inspire. I think he wants to incite.
Okay, first, I do agree with you about the inspiration. I think he can. I think he should. I think all presidents should. In terms of Trump inciting, look, the guy has had everybody and their uncle telling lies and falsehoods about him for 3.5, 4 years now. And he's probably a little fed up with it. Yeah, before the shutdown happened, look at what black unemployment was. It was a record low. The number of African Americans that had jobs, the wages that were going up. And then this virus comes along and the bottom is pulled out from it. He's got to be frustrated as he can be. And I'm not trying to carry his water.
Well, the black unemployment rate started going down under Obama too, though. I mean, that's one thing that Trump takes credit for that actually started under President Obama.
It did? Okay. Well, that's...
Yes.
Then I'll
can I ask you a question, Russ?
Yeah.
Moving forward, All right, because the cops. Let's say the cops get arrested, the cop gets charged, he goes to jail. Great. How do we dismantle white supremacy as a whole moving forward?
Well, that's another show, guys. Because I don't. You'd have to define what it means to you. Because I don't feel like I am a white supremacist, and I don't think there's much white supremacy going on out there. But I need to have you define. See, this is one of the divides.
I'll tell you that to me, once again, this system is designed to work for the people that it was built by, and that's white folks, particularly old white men. And now that people have had enough, because those white folks I spoke about earlier who are out there, who really love black people as much as they love black culture, and they're out there standing with black folks and they want to fight with us. I think this is the tipping point. And we right now are at a point where we can finally force America to live up to its grand promises of liberty and justice for all, and not just liberty and justice for white folks.
It has. That's back to the beginning of the program.
Russ.
It has. It's out there. You guys have done it. Look, we're out of time here, but would you guys like to do this again, where we pick it up right from this point and make a focus on white supremacy?
Not if we just going to dance the whole time. If you're going to have some honest conversation with us and stop telling us things like white privilege doesn't exist, and you don't know what white supremacy is. If we could do that, yes.
Well, Rash, I'm very into having these conversations, because I do think it is important for white people to acknowledge the hurt that they've inflicted on the African American community, and to be able to come forward and admit that we can't even move forward until that happens.
Yeah, that's what I was attempting to do here with all of you today. On the white supremacy thing, I'm not in any kind of denial. I just know that it's a politically charged element of the Democrat Party's politics and liberalism, and I do not cave or compromise or give one iota of an inch to liberalism, no matter what. So white supremacy or white privilege is a construct of today's Democrat Party, and I'm not going to agree with any aspect of it as they put it forth. I'm not denying that there are certain individuals out there who think they're better than other people, but structurally, institutionally, white supremacy, it's a construct.
You can't see how white people are just treated better in this country than black people.
Even just as far as how many people get pulled over by the police officers.
Like we can have these conversations, but we got to be honest with each other. Like you got to admit that.
Disproportionately, black people are getting pulled over. Disproportionately, they're getting shot by the cops.
You set these things up. You have no idea how. I can imagine what you're going to say. If I sit here and say you have no idea how I have been mistreated by various elements, various groups, various companies, various individuals my whole life. It's called life,
Russ.
And it happens. And we're all mistreated. I've been fired 9 times in my career.
But have you ever got thrown out your car because you were driving a nice car? Have you ever got just patted down just for being black?
Yeah, I've had my car keyed. I've had my tires blown up. Of course.
I'm talking about thrown out your car by a police officer because you're black driving a nice car, or walking down the street in Queens, the area where you're from, and the police pulling you over and patting you down. Has these things happened to you? Don't talk about keying a car. I done got shot at. They didn't shot up my car. Don't talk about keying a car and popping your tire. I'm talking about police officers pulling you out because you're black.
See, I'm
because
a hermit.
He did nothing. I'm
a hermit and a recluse, and I don't go out and do all that kind of stuff. No, that kind of stuff has never happened to me. I'll grant you.
I want to ask you one more question before we get out of here.
I've never had the cops assume that I am. Well, actually, no, that isn't true. I have been pursued.
Russ, stop.
I have been pursued by the cops. I was pursued by. Absolutely, I have. But look, guys. Let me thank you again for let me thank you again for giving me the time today and having access to you and at least the chance to talk to you. I do appreciate it, and maybe we can do it again. I look forward to it.
Thank you, Rush.
I do want to know why you think.
Rest in peace, George Floyd.
That's right. All those white kids out there on the front lines protesting and fighting with black people. I salute them. But why do you think they're out there, Russ?
Because they're fed up with what happened to George Floyd. They're fed up with this situation that will not stop, that caused all this and provided the opportunity for all this to happen, the opportunity to protest and riot. There are more Americans fed up with it than you know. That's my point.
What about America, though? You don't think that the fact that there's 40 million people who filed for unemployment? The largest unemployment rate since the Depression era? You don't think that they're fed up about that, too?
Well, I already acknowledged that earlier in the conversation. You can't put 40 million people out of work. But I'm telling you that you have a lot of simpatico people out there. White people were marching in the 60s with Dr. King. There were, in fact, Dr. King's death did not cause this kind of strife in this country.
Martin Luther King Jr. is dead because of racism and white supremacy.
Well, okay, if that's your answer to everything, then I don't know where we're going.
It is, though. It is. He's dead because he was fighting against racism and white supremacy.
All right.
That's why he's dead.
Well, good luck, guys.
Thank you for the conversation.
If we can do this
appreciate
again,
it.
we'll do it again.
That was our conversation with Rush Limbaugh. We got more coming up next. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Working on someone hit your block up. I tell you if it was us. Man, a house in Rosewood, it too plush.
Morning, everybody. DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get to the rumors. Let's talk Floyd Mayweather.
This is the Rumor Report with Angela Yee. On the Breakfast Club.
So listen up.
Well, Floyd Mayweather has offered to pay for George Floyd's funeral services, and they actually posted a copy of the check and everything. It's $88,500. Now, we don't know whether or not the family has accepted that offer, but he is offering to do that, and he is sending that check to the Fort Bend Memorial Funeral Home to cover everything.
Very, very honorable.
That's dope.
Dropping the clues bombs for Floyd Mayweather.
That's definitely dope.
And Drake has donated $100,000 to the National Bailout Fund to aid arrested protesters. He posted a screenshot of that donation as well. And it's an organization that reunites families, creating a national community of leaders who have experienced incarceration and working with groups across the country to transform harmful systems to keep people safe and free, according to their website.
All right, dropping the clues bombs for Drake. Very honorable. Everybody being charitable. That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, another person, though, that has spoken out, J.R. Smith. Yesterday, we reported about him beating up a person who was breaking into his car, who broke his car window. And now J.R. Smith is saying that he kind of feels disappointed with himself. Here's what he had to say on the Pat McAfee show.
It was just a random act of stupidness, and I give him that. But that ass whooping was a random act of stupidness on my behalf as well. And you know what's sad? Because after the first two kicks, like in the third one, you could kind of see it wasn't that much emphasis on it. Because at that point when it happened, I seen red, and then when I finally snapped to and what was going on, I'm still like disappointed with myself, even though people say I shouldn't be. But it's just like, for me, I'm 34 years old. I have 4 little girls at home, regardless of the fact whether it was right or wrong. I don't want them to have that image of their dad.
JR, you should not feel that way. That was a very, very impressive beatdown. Dropping the clues bombs for J.R. Smith. I often watch these fights online, and I'm like, damn, these dudes can't fight. Or damn, these dudes ain't hitting hard. JR was on that young man's ass. I'm surprised the young man was able just to get up and run the way that he did, but I'm sure that his adrenaline was so pumping, and he probably was on some drugs. That's probably why. But JR, you did a phenomenal job, sir.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with it. I mean, I'm minding my business. You're in a residential area and you're just going to start effing up my ish? No, my first reaction is to beat your ass.
Phenomenal
right. I think anybody
job,
who finds somebody breaking their car show window, their windshield is going to do that first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal job, JR. You have nothing to be ashamed about, nothing to be embarrassed about. Okay. Your good footwork. The kicks were landing properly. Okay. It was a good job. Nice punch.
But I do understand what he says about having 4 little girls at home, and he doesn't want that image to be the image that they see, whether it was right or wrong. You know, I get that. You have children and you're like, all right, I don't want them to look at their dad like this.
Well, also, isn't it protect your family and your property? I mean, one thing about my daughter says is, they know daddy's the protector. I'm not just going to let somebody come up and F up my ish that I work very hard for. No, it's not going to happen.
Well, that was his thoughts.
And your daughter needs to see that video, because your daughter can show that video to all her future boyfriends, and all her future boyfriends can be on notice that daddy will whip your ass. Okay? Even at the tender age of 65 when JR gets older.
But yes, you can't fault somebody for reacting that way when you're breaking their property. So, but I feel him on everything that he's saying as far as what he regrets, but nobody looks at you like you were wrong for that. All right. Jason Whitlock. He is leaving Fox Sports. He's apparently both sides could not come to an agreement on a new contract. So they said they believe that he's looking into starting his own direct to consumer business, according to sources. So we shall see what happens. But right now they're looking for a new host to replace him.
So he's not going to be doing the show with Marcellus Wiley no more?
Nope. They said Friday was actually his last day.
If Fox Sports 1 does not hire Jemele Hill, they are crazy. Okay, Jemele Hill used to be on ESPN. She's got her podcast, Unbothered, right now. She does the podcast with Van Lathan. I think it's called Down the Hole. I know it's about The Wire. Yo, that would be a good pairing, Jemele Hill and Marcellus Wiley on Fox Sports 1. I would love to see Jemele back on TV discussing sports every day.
All right. Well, I'm Angela Yee, and that is your rumor report.
All right. Thank you, Miss Yee. Now, Charlamagne.
Yes, sir.
Who you giving that donkey to?
You know, I need our celebrity in chief, Donald J. Trump, to come to the front of the congregation. We'd like to have a word with him.
Okay. What donkey is this of the year that you've, with Donald Trump? You've given him how many? 3 already? 4? Do you know?
I've lost count, sir. I'm gonna be
Damn
honest
it, man.
with you. I don't know.
Okay.
I even had to stop myself because he literally could get donkey of the day every day. So I try to pace him out. But you know, when you're turning America into a military state, I think that's a good time to give him one.
All right, we'll get into that next. Keep it locked. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
The Breakfast Club.
To me, he absolutely has. I don't think he's better than the heir to Michael Jordan's throne. To me, personally, LeBron James has exceeded all expectations. To me, he absolutely has. I don't think he's better than Jordan, but that's not the point. He's top 5 of all time easily. People debate whether he's better than Jordan, whatever. My point is, he is who they said he was.
They are who we thought they were.
Now, as I was saying about the president, the last time I have ever seen someone live up to and exceed all expectations like Donald Trump was LeBron James. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald J. Trump is who they said he was. Who is they? Everybody. Okay, I remember in August 2016, there was an article on QZ.com that said Donald Trump and his followers could destroy America. I remember Politico had an article that said, in the era of Trump, is the GOP headed for ruin or renewal? I remember indivisible.org said Donald Trump is a national security risk. I remember The Atlantic had an article that said, will Donald Trump destroy the presidency? People have written books comparing Trump to Adolf Hitler, and they've compared him to other dictators like Stalin and Mussolini. You've heard people say Donald Trump will lead America into fascism. When all these things were being said in 2016, 2017, we said, no, that'll never happen in America. Give the executive producer, Celebrity Apprentice a chance to run the country. Things won't turn out that bad, even though everybody and their mama and their grandma said, no, it's going to be bad. Congratulations, Donald J. Trump. You have exceeded all expectations of how bad people thought you were going to be. Okay, America right now, unemployment rate past 40 million. Largest unemployment rate since the Depression era. Okay, Americans are shook to death because they don't know what will happen when the pandemic relief ends. Okay, there's anarchy in the street because the law and order president, as he calls himself, encourages police officers to rough folks up. So he made an already horrible problem in America, police brutality, worse. So now that folks are out there in these streets protesting, rioting, looting, what does he do? He declares war on the American people. This is your man live from the Rose Garden in D.C. yesterday. Listen.
My administration is fully committed that for George and his family, justice will be served. He will not have died in vain. But we cannot allow the righteous cries and peaceful protesters to be drowned out by an angry mob. The biggest victims of the rioting are peace-loving citizens in our poorest communities. And as their president, I will fight to keep them safe. I am your president of law and order and an ally of all peaceful protesters. I am mobilizing all available federal resources, civilian and military, to stop the rioting and looting, to end the destruction and arson, and to protect the rights of law-abiding Americans, including your Second Amendment rights. Today, I have strongly recommended to every governor to deploy the National Guard in sufficient numbers that we dominate the streets. Mayors and governors must establish an overwhelming law enforcement presence until the violence has been quelled. If a city or state refuses to take the actions that are necessary, then I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them.
He wants to use the military to quell the violence. He wants to turn America into a military state. Now, if y'all thought that stay-at-home quarantine thing during coronavirus, you know, that whole thing that he said was a hoax, if y'all thought that was martial law, nope. When we are a military state, that's martial law, okay? Temporary military rule of domestic territory, military dictatorship, okay? An authoritarian government controlled by a military and its political designees. This is what we have come to, America. I don't know if we are in Infinity War or the Endgame right now. Okay, did half of us already get snapped away, or is this when we've brought everybody back and we just finally trying to defeat Thanos? All I know is, once again, America, it got the president it deserves. Okay, this is America's karma. All right, Donald Trump is America's Frankenstein. He represents all the worst aspects of America for us, but all the best aspects that make America great for white people. Okay, this is what happens when you let white privilege, white entitlement, white arrogance, and white supremacy run rampant. Okay, see, every single one of those things are self-destructive because they aren't rooted in anything positive. All right, Donald Trump is president because this country was founded by rich white people who created and structured this system so that it would always work for, guess what? Rich white people. Okay, that's why white mediocrity is so often rewarded, because rich white people, since the founding of this country, always have had a built-in advantage, a cheat code of sorts, okay? Because the country was founded on principles, laws, and systems designed to benefit the Trumps of the world. And now, that guy is president. But never, at least in modern times, since I've been alive, has a white man revealed more about them damn devils than him, okay? Donald Trump has found a way to out-white man the white man. All right, Donald Trump, being the Frankenstein of white supremacy, has found a way to marginalize everyone, including other white supremacists. Okay, Donald Trump has found a way to make everyone in America of all races, all colors, all creeds feel like a nigga. Oh, we about to be in a military state. We all oppressed and marginalized. We all niggas now. Okay, welcome to the club. Now, what are we going to do about it, niggas? Okay, are we all going to band together and finally force this country to dismantle this system of white supremacy? Because as long as white supremacy exists, there will always be Donald Trumps of the world. He's just a new version of an old, pale problem. Okay, so until we have elected officials who recognize white supremacy and are willing to dismantle it, God bless us all. Please give the celebrity in chief, Donald J. Trump, the biggest hee-haw.
All right.
Is there any hope? I guess, you know what? There is a little bit of hope. When I hear people like Gavin Newsom, governor of California, when I hear him say things like this.
The black community is not responsible for what's happening in this country right now. We are. Our institutions are responsible. We are accountable. We have a unique responsibility to the black community in this country, and we've been playing lip service about that for generations. Things move away in headlines, and we indulge on the margins, but we don't systemically, foundationally address the root of these issues. We prune. We don't tear out the institutional racism from all of our institutions, large and small. We don't. We know that. The question is, do we or are we prepared to do something differently about it?
Mm-hmm.
That's right. The black community is not responsible for what's happening in this country right now. Okay? When he says we are, he's talking to America. Okay, the old white males and the white males that built this country. Their institutions are responsible, and they need to be held accountable for this moment and every moment moving forward, and it needs to be called out, because white supremacy will not be dismantled until they choose to dismantle it. Keep the pressure on, people.
All right. Well, thank you for that donkey today. Now,
speaking of white supremacy.
Now, earlier we played an interview, a conversation we did with Rush Limbaugh. Now, over the weekend, we got a phone call from iHeartRadio, our people at iHeartRadio.
The powers that be.
The powers that be, if you like to call them, and said, hey, Rush Limbaugh would like to have a conversation with you guys. He's disturbed about what happened with George Floyd, and he would like to have a conversation with you guys about, possibly telling his crowd and his listeners how we feel.
Yeah, he felt like the death of George Floyd was wrong, and he felt like police brutality needed to stop. As I asked him during our conversation, why now? Like, why George Floyd? Why this particular situation, especially being that we've seen 1 million police killings, and when I say 1 million, I don't mean literally 1 million, but we've just seen a whole lot of police killings since I've been alive. Yeah.
Right. So after having the conversation, I think some people were glad about the conversation and glad we were able to tell him how we feel. And some people were mad that we had him actually on the radio and even spoke with him.
Yeah. So just call us right now and tell us, do you think that Rush Limbaugh interview was a waste of our time?
Okay, we can put it like that. 800-585-1051. Call us now. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Call 800-585-1051 to join into the discussion with The Breakfast Club.
Talk about it.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
What's happening? Good morning to you.
I don't know what the hell is going on with my internet this morning. I know today is supposed to be a blackout, and my internet has blacked out 72 times this morning.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm sick of sitting at home doing this show, man. I want to be back in the studio. If you really want to know how I feel, I want to be back in the midst of action.
Oh, you want action?
Coming into the city in the morning. I miss taking a shower in the morning.
You can still take a shower.
I live right down the block from you, bro. You could come by any morning.
Taking a shower to go downstairs isn't
To take
not
a
for
shower?
a shower. Nah, we get people.
It's like,
you taking this Bert and
Why
Ernie
can't he
thing
shower at
too
his
far.
own house?
I know you've seen these Bert and Ernie memes where they make us Bert and Ernie, but you're taking this too far.
No,
It won't be
not
no
for-
rubber ducky with me and you.
No,
okay?
no rubber ducky, you ass. I'm talking about if you want to broadcast with
Christ.
somebody, you want to see me, we could broadcast.
This guy wants to do rubber ducky with me.
See, you always go too far. Always go too far. Now, what are we talking about? Rush Limbaugh.
Rush Limbaugh, man. As we told y'all this weekend, we got a phone call from the powers that be here at iHeart. And it's very important that people know Rush Limbaugh actually works for iHeart Radio as well. So it's not like it's not as random as people may think it is. We work for iHeart. Rush works for iHeart. And,
Correct.
Rush didn't like the way that the George Floyd situation went down. He thought that the police should be in jail, and he just, doesn't want this to happen ever again. That's what he said.
Right.
So, I always feel like, we should use, white people's privilege to combat prejudice. You know what I'm saying? You got to treat it like Starbucks Wi-Fi, because we all know that, this mechanism of white supremacy, it has to be dismantled, but it can only be dismantled by the people that help build it and the people that benefit from it. I think so.
Right.
So,
Let's open up the phone lines, 800-585-1051. Want to have a conversation, but when we had that conversation, we couldn't forget all the nasty things he said about our community and our people. So some of that had to be addressed. So let's open up the phone lines. Hello, who's this?
Yeah, this is Joe from Miami.
Joe from Miami. What's up, bro?
MIAO.
How you guys doing, man? I love what you guys do. I love what you guys do a lot, man. Keep it up.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you,
We're
King.
talking about our interview with Rush Limbaugh. What did you think, bro?
Listen, man, quickly, I'm a Puerto Rican kid from the Bronx. I live in Miami. As a teenager, I lived in Virginia, and I experienced racism openly and directly, and it didn't feel good at all. I've experienced police harassment here in Miami. It doesn't feel good. I don't have a police record. I can say this, though. We need to have open hearts, and we need to take advantage of every opportunity we have to be heard. And when a guy like Rush Limbaugh opens his platform up for us, we have to take advantage, guys, So, listen, it might have taken George Floyd's death to get him to call you guys and reach out, but it's better than nothing, man. And we just got to jump on this opportunity and show love, Show love. Even though we mad, we got to show love because they want us to be mad,
All right.
The opportunity to engage can be very frustrating, but I do feel like if someone is willing to at least have the conversations, and while we didn't agree on a lot of things, I feel like, well, maybe I don't feel like it was that productive, but we did. We agreed on one thing. The rest of the things we did not agree on. But I do feel like it's not like you're going to change somebody's mind in one conversation in 20 minutes either. It takes a lot more than that.
I will say this, after he aired the interview, people were telling me that people were calling, his listeners were calling in support of what we were saying. So maybe it did get through to a couple of people. Maybe it did. I don't know.
It's just a start.
I don't know
It's not yeah.
Let's go to another line. Hello, who's this?
Hey, it's Mo. Good morning.
Mo.
Hey, Lo.
Hey, Mo.
What up, Lo?
Oh,
She
Lo
said
or
Mo.
Mo?
Lo. I thought she said Mo. Mo.
Oh, Love.
Yes. It's
Hey, Love.
good morning.
Whatever. I'm not sure what your name is, Mama. But what are your thoughts about that interview?
I feel like it was BS. He obviously didn't care for what y'all was saying. He don't understand where black people come from. He just got on the radio to try and clear his name so he wouldn't get any backlash.
I don't think he cares about the backlash for some of the things he's said in the last 20 years of his career.
31 years.
31 years.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Mama. 800-585-1051. We'll take more of your calls. We had a conversation with Rush Limbaugh. What did you think? Was it a waste of time? Do you think they even listening? Call us up now. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Always felt like my vision being bigger than a bigger picture. Crazy how you got it.
Call me. Add your opinion to the Breakfast Club topic. Come on. 800-585-1051.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ Envy, Angela Yee, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Good morning. Now, if you just joined us, we're talking about our conversation with Rush Limbaugh. What were your thoughts? Let's go to the phone lines. Hello, who's this?
Hi, this is Cece. Good morning.
Hey, Cece. Good morning. Where you calling from?
I'm calling from Queens. I have, can I say two things?
Sure, go ahead.
Of course.
Well, hi, Charlamagne. Sorry, hi, Angela Lee. How are you guys?
Hello.
What's up, Mama?
Okay, so two things. What did you say?
I said good morning, Mama.
Why are you ready to fight? Relax. Ain't nobody trying you. Ain't nobody trying you. Ain't nobody who touched your trigger this morning.
Sorry.
Why'd you just call her Mama?
Okay, so two things. Number one, the whole conversation with Rush Limbaugh, like, don't even have him back on your show because he's oblivious to everything. How does he compare getting pulled over by police, stop and frisk, to having his car keyed? Like, I will never understand that.
That was weird.
Me neither.
Yeah, and number two, we need to have a conversation about the whole situation with Mayor de Blasio's daughter who got, arrested for protesting. So he was fine with the cops, plowing into the crowd and everything. He didn't care about any of that. Oh, you don't know the whole situation. But now that his daughter was arrested, now it's a different song and dance. I don't think so.
Exactly. Yeah, de Blasio's garbage. The thing I hate about de Blasio, he's so shook of the police unions. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, sometimes you got to stand up and have some balls and just tell police that they're wrong. When they ran that car into that crowd of people, they were wrong.
They were wrong.
What happened when they pushed that lady down? She was like 100 pounds.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that was absolutely
terrible.
wrong.
The police don't take accountability for anything. And until they do it, until he stands up to them, like how the mayor of Atlanta did, and as soon as she seen that video of the college students getting pulled out the car, dragged out the cars, immediately fired.
They got fired right away.
That needs to happen here. Why are we still having a conversation about this? They out there trucking to the crowd, and they still working. I don't understand.
You're right.
And
so
what
was your other thing, Mama?
Bottoms. She did too.
Oh, she did her too?
Right. Well,
Yeah.
let me just say I love you guys, and I guess that's it. Thank you. Keep on doing what you're doing. We need this, but don't have Rush Limbaugh on your show again.
Okay.
And salute to Keisha Lance Bottoms, because I know for a fact that she was getting a lot of pushback from the police in Atlanta about firing those two people. But she was like, F that.
Nah, they had to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that was my man's goddaughter that got, she went to Spelman. Well, she goes to Spelman. That she got tased like that on their way home. And I don't know if you've seen the video, but there was a car in front of them and they didn't touch that car. Hello, who's this?
This is Elaine.
Hey, Elaine. Good morning. Where you calling from?
Hey, Elaine.
North Side.
All right. No, what's your comment, Mama?
So you're talking about Rush being on there, and I think it was definitely necessary. I know people will probably be mad to listen to him or have him on there, but you've always got to hear the other side, even if you don't agree with it, because you want to understand where they're coming from and why they're thinking the way they're thinking. He definitely does not get it. I think he's like this all the way around lost, especially because at the very end he was just like, how do we fix it? How do we end it? And he's asking us, and we're not the problem. He's asking us, how do we fix it? And it's not a we thing. It's how do you all fix the problem that you guys created? And he just is not, he's not right in his mind around that part. He has a hard time understanding that it was created by the same people who need to fix the problem.
Right.
That's right.
All right. Well, thank you for checking in, Mama. Appreciate you. All right. Now, is there a moral to the story? Do we have a moral?
No.
I mean, the moral for me, I just felt like I felt like the call wasn't productive because, not knowing about white supremacy, not knowing about white privilege, that's just as dangerous as, knowing that you have it and enforcing it. You know what I'm saying? But to act like it doesn't exist, I don't even know how you get to the root of any of these problems, because police brutality, the coronavirus, the impact coronavirus is having on the black community, that's all because of systemic racism, period. And if you can't acknowledge that, I don't even know how we fix any of those things.
And I think in 20 minutes, that's too short of a conversation. This is a way bigger conversation. I don't know that anything can get resolved in 20 minutes.
I don't think anything could ever get resolved with him. And I'll be honest with you, if he's not going to be honest with himself, it's not going to get resolved. The fact that he says, "Oh, well, there's no such thing as, black people being pulled over for being black." Like he's not being honest with himself. He's just being loyal to his listeners, and that's never going to change. It's never going to help, and it's going to remain the same as far as what he thinks.
And there's a lot of information out there that he could access and research too, because it's not like that's something that is a hidden, it's not a secret.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we got rumors on the way.
Yes. And let's talk about Tokyo Jet. She made an awful joke and now she's apologizing. We'll tell you what that was and what she is now saying. She's deleted everything off her Instagram page except for the apology.
All right. We'll get into that next. Man. Keep it locked. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Hi, it's Jamie, Progressive's Employee of the Month, 2 months in a row. Talk to him!
With Angela Yee on The Breakfast Club.
Yes, last night TLC Iconic aired. It was 4 artists across all different genres coming together. They performed their take on TLC's biggest hits. So you can stream it now on CWTV in case you didn't see it. It was all hosted by Jordan Sparks also. And the 4 artists were actually inside country music, R&B, hip hop, and pop. So you could see all of that right now if you stream it on CWTV. Now, Justin Bieber says that he does feel shame over the deaths of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery. He sat down with Angela Rye alongside his wife as well, Haley. Haley and he are both Christians. He said, "We believe in the love of Jesus." Here is more of what Justin Bieber had to say about why this was triggering for him.
I've been feeling shame in the sense of why did it take these men being killed for me to almost take a blanket over my eyes and be why now? And I gotta say I do feel bad when it comes to that.
And make sure you download that On One podcast from Angela Rye. Salute to AR40. Dropping the clues bombs for AR40.
Haley Baldwin captioned the video post from the interview that she put up. "As a white woman, I know I'm privileged and I didn't always understand what that really meant. I will never understand what it's like to be racially profiled and targeted and wake up every day uncertain if I could lose my life because of the color of my skin. I want to know better so I can do better, and I will not stop asking these questions and having these conversations. I want to keep learning how to be an ally, and I refuse to keep walking through life being ignorant."
And white people got to stop acting like they're afraid to get involved. Don't be worried about, offending someone just because you're standing up for them. If your intention is in the right place and you're a human who doesn't want to see bad things happen to other humans, step the F up.
I see a lot of white people stepping up, though. I see a lot of white people stepping up. I see a lot of white people on the front lines.
How do you feel about white people asking questions? How do you feel about white people asking questions about racism and different things?
Questions like what?
Coming to you to explain.
I don't mind. And the reason I don't mind is because of a conversation I had with Michael Eric Dyson this weekend, but also because if you think about Malcolm X, in the autobiography of Malcolm X, when that Caucasian woman at Harvard came up to him and asked him, what can I do to help? And he said nothing. Malcolm X said he always regretted that because he should have used that opportunity to teach. So I don't have a problem with white people asking questions.
One time I was in Atlanta, this white woman came up to me at the bar and was like, and she was drunk, and she was like, "I don't understand what Black Lives Matter is about. Doesn't all lives matter?" And I did end up having a whole conversation with her for 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's good. Sometimes you got to explain.
And I was like, why did I just do that?
Hopefully she understands and she goes back to her friends and explains what you just told her. Hopefully.
Yeah. All right, now.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, all the white people on the front line, salute to you. And all the white people with platforms, don't be afraid to use them to speak out for other human beings, regardless of what color they are.
All right. For people who were looting at the Apple store, you cannot use the gadgets there. So I see people are posting, they have the phones and it's a message pops up and it says this device has been disabled and is being tracked. Local authorities will be alerted. So apparently a lot of the items that they have on display are just for display purposes. And they're able to lock things right away. And a lot of the phones, laptops, and all of those things that are locked away in the back, people couldn't get to that area. So it's very secure there. So they were only able to take some of the display models, and then that
Apple shouldn't have said
actually
nothing.
Pops up.
They shouldn't have said anything. They should have act like people can activate those phones, and then just been able to boop, boop, please pop right up. They shouldn't have said anything.
The stupidest thing to steal is a goddamn iPhone. It's literally a tracking device. Mm-hmm. It's literally you don't steal a goddamn tracking device. What the hell is wrong with you?
All right, now Joe Jackson, one of his grandchildren, is the victim of a hate crime, and she has, I don't know if you saw these pictures online, they're really difficult to look at. She has injuries to her neck and face. Jasmine, daughter to Giovanni Jackson, revealed on Instagram that she was stabbed several times by a woman who called her the N-word, and she was stabbed 7 times right by her house. She said because of that, she said she was chased. The woman just chased her down and started stabbing her. She said it's because I was an N-word and that's all I could hear while I was being stabbed. I can't move my neck at all. I'm scared to be alone. I asked people to help me because she was stabbing me and nobody helped until someone did. Actually, a few people did, and I'm thankful for you. I pray to God that if you have any kind of hatred in your heart toward Black people, that you heal it. I didn't deserve this. Nobody does. And oh, by the way, I'm still effing proud to be Black. So, according to Yasmin, her attacker was originally only being charged with felony battery with a deadly weapon. She said, I feel like she deserves attempted murder. And also, this is a hate crime. She called me an N-word, and there are witnesses.
And this is why I want every brother and sister in America to own a legal firearm. You know what I'm saying? This is why you have to believe in your right to bear arms. Because that person should have been shot. Like she should have had a nice little 380 on her or something, little 38 to get that person off her. Yes, absolutely.
Well, they did end up booking this woman for attempted murder. She said now to work on the hate crime charge. So that was the update. All right. Tokyo Jets made a very, very terrible joke while she was playing around with one of her friends. Here's what she said.
Yikes, Tokyo.
You know, I was very shocked and appalled by that. She did apologize afterward. And like I said on her Instagram page, this is the only post that she has up. And here is her apology.
No excuse. It's not what this is at all. I'm not doing this video to ask for no type of sympathy, because what I did was wrong as hell. First and foremost, I want to just apologize to family, to people out on the front line, to people who actually stand up for us. And I don't want nobody to take nothing that I'm saying as an excuse, because that's not what this is at all. I don't want nobody to ever think that I don't understand that I'm Black as.
What does your Uncle Charlotte always tell you? The craziest people in America come from the Bronx and all of Florida. Where is Tokyo Jets from? Come on, say it with me, guys. Florida. Okay.
What's wrong with you?
Tokyo can't help it. That's just she had a Florida. That's Florida foolishness.
Yeah, it was a dumb statement.
She had a foolish moment.
Very foolish.
Right.
That does not. I don't think that reflects Tokyo Jets' total.
Not at all.
No. I know we know her. That's why it was very surprising at all. Period. But that's her apology. So. You know, not sure moving forward what's going to happen, but I see people calling to cancel her and all of that. And that's it was extremely hurtful. And she apologized to the family. Just a terrible, disgusting thing to say. So let that be a lesson for everybody. All right. I'm Angela Yee, and that is your rumor report.
All right. Thank you, Miss Yee. You know, I'm watching these videos of these looters, right? And I seen this one guy, he runs up in the Apple store and pulls out this big Apple, TV, whatever it is, right? He gets halfway down the block. They whoop his ass and take the TV from him, right? Then they walk down halfway up the block. Then these other looters whoop their ass and they take it from him. I'm like, it just makes no sense. It really makes no sense. And then when they plug
it really makes no sense.
It like you gotta have Wi-Fi on your Apple TV, right? You gotta have Wi-Fi, right? You gotta use Wi-Fi. You don't think you're gonna get caught?
It makes no sense because I cannot stand a person who wants to take what somebody else has worked hard for. That Apple store is right up the block. You can run up in that goddamn Apple store and take your own damn TV.
Shut up, man. Shut up, man.
Why would you do that to that man?
Shut up, man. All right, man. Shout out to Revolt, man. We'll see you tomorrow, man. And I don't know what's going on with my Wi-Fi. Josh, if you're out there listening, Focus AV, come fix this Wi-Fi. This Wi-Fi, like when I say blackout, my Wi-Fi has blacked out 72 times this morning. Please come fix this Wi-Fi.
Is that
you
cold?
Should call your cable company.
Is that code for something?
You're kinky, man.
Begging Josh to come over.
Begging
Josh to come over.
Yo, what is
and
wrong
fix
with
your
you,
Wi-Fi? Man? Y'all rich people talk crazy.
Yo, what's wrong with you, man? Before you told you said you want to take a bath with me on some Bert and Ernie stuff with some rubber duckies. Now, what's wrong with you, man? I can't with you this morning.
Fix my Wi-Fi.
Why you gotta make everything sound sexual, man?
Josh be like, unplug me and plug me back in.
Okay, guys.
I hate you, man. Revolt. We'll see you tomorrow, man. People's Choice Mix is up next. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning.
The Breakfast Club. Your mornings will never be the same.
Hey, it's Angela. And look, we've all been there. Maybe you missed an auto insurance payment, or maybe your auto insurer dropped you. At the General Insurance, that's okay. The General accepts most cars and drivers. Call them at 800-GENERAL or visit thegeneral.com today. Some restrictions apply.
WWPR FM HD1 New York.
An iHeart radio station.
Let me put a little bit of the Breakfast Club up in your lifestyle.
DJ